So welcome to Tuesdays at 2. This is Melinda here with the Coaches Console. And as always, we're following our new format for this call, although it's not quite so new. We've got the featured spotlight. So I've got a topic today, which is all about creating a resources page for added value to your clients. I'm going to be talking about that feature for the first part of the call. The second part of the training, we've got our hot seat, and Sfia is with us today. And she's got a couple of topics. We're going to figure out which one's the best and dive into a hot seat. She's got some great things to bring onto the call today. And then we'll open it to live Q&A time. So if you do have any questions as we go throughout the webinar today, use that webinar box. I know some of you, I think for some folks on today's training, this might be your first Tuesdays at 2. So I want to welcome you. And you know what? Let me, hang on a second. I think when I shut off my webcam, let me make sure you guys should be seeing the Coaches Console dashboard. Let me just do a quick check-in with everybody that's on the call with me live. Do you see the dashboard, the to-do, appointments, all that kind of stuff? You guys see that? Okay, great. It is now showing. It wasn't before. I'm glad I caught that. Yeah, so in this webinar box where we're kind of talking back and forth, post your questions there, whether it's about the feature I'm getting ready to tell you about, Sfia's hot seat, live questions that you have towards the end of the training today. I want to make sure you get your questions answered. And well, I always love these calls. It's a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoy them as well. Okay, so let's start with today's topic, which is creating a resources page for added value to your clients. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about, we have a little different take on this. We share this with a lot of people, this concept with a lot of people share this mindset. But there are others that don't. So I'm going to share with you our approach and why. And then as always, we leave it to you to research, is this also the best practice for your business? Okay. So when it comes to resources page, and where we're going to be spending time in this first part of the training is under the website module. We're going to be talking about pages. Okay. We're specifically going to be talking about a resource page for your, let me see if I have one in this demo account. I don't know if I already have, oh yeah, there's one. A resources page specifically for your clients, okay? Now, the best practice that we share around this is to make this a private page. You can call it resources, you can call it cool resources, you can call it amazing great things or recommendations by Melinda, by fill in your name, whatever. You can kind of name this. I'm just going to use the generic resources title for this training. And you'll see that there's a few little examples where you have the title of your resource, right? And then you have a 1 to 2 sentence description. The horizontal ruler just for visual distinction, and then your next resource and a couple sentence description. You might even have a graphic. Now we talk about having this be a private page, because here's what happens. If you make this a public page, when visitors come to your website, whether somebody referred them to you or they found you organically on the internet, when a visitor comes to your website, the whole purpose of your website is for them to take action. The first action you want them to take is that they get your free gift. They download your free gift, right? And they get into your sales funnel. Once they're in your sales funnel and they come back to your website, then they may want to learn more about you, your bio, why you might be a good fit to support them. They might want to learn about different offerings that you have, different services that you offer. Testimonials to give social proof and evidence, physical evidence of how people that work with you actually get results, right? And so that's the whole point of your website, is to take a prospect, somebody who's interested, and to give them what they need to have them become a paying client. Now, if you add a resources page to your public website, what actually ends up happening is it serves as a distraction. And now Kate calls it the shiny object syndrome, or in our business we joke and we're like, oh look, squirrel, and we get distracted because it is so easy to get distracted in today's information age. And when you have a resources page that's public, so that any visitor comes to your website, and you've got these amazing resources, however amazing they are, it's a distraction away from the sole purpose of your website, away from them taking action and becoming your client. Okay? So when your resources page is public, it's a distraction. Once they become a client, then you can provide added value by sharing additional resources. Okay? So we want to give added value once they become a client. Now, the intention in sharing resources is usually when we talk with individuals such as yourself, and we're the same way, the intention behind sharing resources is, look, I have found something absolutely amazing. And when you get your hands on it, it is going to help you overcome your challenges or get your goals faster, and your world is going to be a better place when you have this resource. For example, the 4 Agreements. It's one of my favorite resources that I share with every client. Well, actually, I share it with every human being I possibly can because I love that little book, right? And when somebody reads that book, they have this mindset that's going to help them cultivate success, personally or professionally. I love that book. So when we share resources, it's because we want to be of service to people. We want to balance being of service to people with accomplishing our business goals of people hiring us and making money doing what we love while making an impact. And so that's why you want to have your resources page be private. Okay? So we want to make our page private. And when you're creating your resources page on your Coaches Console website, you've got your page title. When you scroll down, you have your content, right? I'll talk about formatting content in just a second. And when you scroll further past the content, you'll see the sidebar boxes. Now, again, because we're making our resources private, you may not need to have any sidebar boxes display. You may not want to have a distraction and just have people get the resources and click on the links for the resources that you've given, right? Because they're already a client, since we're making this a private menu and a private page on your website. So further down the page under options, you do want to link this page to a menu. Usually we call it the menu by the same name of the page. So the name of the menu is resources. And then here is where you make this a private page. So only when clients log into your private client website will they see this private resources page. And then with the resources page, really you want all of your clients to see it. Whether they're one-on-one clients, maybe they're in a group program you do, or teleclasses that you offer, or home study that you have available. Typically with the resources page, all your active clients is who is going to see this private page. Okay. Now you may have a special resources page, like for example, in our bootcamp program, we share very specific resources only with our boot campers. And so that resources page is really only set up for boot campers. So you might have a very specific resources page, but generally, especially in the early stages, you have one resources page that you share with all of your clients. And you want to make it private so that they have to log into your private client website in order to see that page. Okay. Any questions about that so far? And Mikey, I see your question. I'm going to hold that. Well, I'll answer. I'm going to hold your question for just 1 second. Let me finish going through something else, and then I'll bring your question in. Okay, let's talk about what to include on the resources page. So first, we want to make it private so that we're adding value to our clients that have signed up with us, rather than a distraction to our prospects that steers them away from us. And I just want to talk a little bit about when you create a resources page, what's ideal to have on it. You want to have a title for each resource. So just the name of the resource, the Coaches Console, Book Yourself Solid. That's another book that we recommend to a lot of our clients. The 4 Agreements, right? So you want to have a title. This title, the name of the resource, that is what is hyperlinked to the link. So again, the 4 Agreements, if I want to share this resource with my clients, I type in the 4 Agreements and I highlight that phrase. And then I click on this insert edit link icon. It looks like a little chain link fence. And when I click on that, that's where I would enter the URL that's going to take somebody to download that resource. Okay. And I can click OK, and it's going to hyperlink that phrase to whatever URL. Now, for some people, you might be an affiliate and have a unique affiliate link. So when you highlight the phrase to hyperlink, whether it's a book or a resource, a program, another tool, whatever it is, when you highlight and create that hyperlink, then where it says URL, this is where you would enter your affiliate link so that when somebody clicks on it, whatever resource that is tracking you as the referring person and giving you credit and usually paying you a commission. Okay. So you want to hyperlink the title. You want to give 1 to 2 sentences. I usually do 2 sentences that describes why this is a great resource for them. Like when you get your hands on this, you will experience fill in the blank. Give 1 to 2 sentence description about that. And I always like to have a visual representation as well, some sort of graphic. Most of the time, it's that resource's logo, right? So for example, many of you are Coaches Console affiliates, and I know a lot of you share this Coaches Console technology with other colleagues that you have. So you might list the Coaches Console. Well, you would use the our logo as the visual, right? So it's either the logo, or if it's a book, you can see like here I have a little thumbnail of the book cover. So you want to have you want to insert a graphic, and just as a reminder, in the content editor, you'll see the insert edit image icon. And wherever you put your cursor on that page, when you click insert edit image, you can select your image, the JPEG or the GIF file that you want to upload, and upload that image. So I like to have an image, the name of the resource, and 1 to 2 sentence description on the resource page, telling them why it's going to be a valuable resource. Okay. So that's what you put on the resources page. Now, a couple of questions have come up. Mikey's question is, how do you link forms that are in your console system to your resources page? So, okay, so technically, here's how you do it. I'm trying to understand the scenario, Mikey, of why you would do that. So if you want to type in, I'm just curious, and I think it might be a really good learning point for everybody on the call. Why do you want to link, like, what is the specific form? And why do you want to link that form on your resources page? So I want to show you how to do it, how to technically accomplish it. So the way you do it is, let's say you have, I'll just call it form ABC for right now, because I don't know the name of your form. And you want this, it's a fun little thing that you want your folks to do. And so you're going to give it the title, so the name of the form. And I like to use my preset headings so that everything is consistent, right? And so I can use my preset heading. And then I want to hyperlink the name of this form to the actual form that I already have created in my console system. That's what Mikey's asking. So I highlight the name of the form, and I click on the insert edit link. Click on that icon in the content editor. You'll see it right there. It's that little chain link icon. And instead of the URL, because I don't know the URL of that form, but that's where this link list comes in. You'll see this link list right here. This is one of my favorite features in the console system. I love this little shortcut feature. And when you click on the pull-down menu, here are all of the pages that you have in your console system. If you keep scrolling, Mikey, here's all the forms, right? If you keep scrolling, any documents that you've uploaded in your console system, there's all your documents, right? So if you have a teleclass etiquette, just how to make the most when you're on a live teleclass, might be a great resource for your clients. So you could link it to a document, or you are asking how do you link it to a form. Maybe there's an assessment that you have. And so here's your link to your assessment, the form that you created in your console system. And click OK. And now the title of this form is hyperlinked to the form in your console system. Okay. Let's see. Oh, and it's Mickey. Okay, got it. Thank you so much for that. So you're talking about the goals form. Okay, so the goals form. Yeah, one of the things I would recommend is on this resources page. The resources page is not. It's really meant to be like value added information, not necessarily um, goals form or your initial intake form. You could do that on a resources page, but usually what you list on a resources page is supplemental to the work that you do in your coaching with them. So it's kind of an add-on supplemental type of item. Okay, but I think you got the idea, right? Awesome, got it. Great. Let's see. Mary also has a question. How do I set up a second resources page for clients? All right, so let me just save this. Let me scroll down to the bottom here and click save. So we'll save our changes. Let's go back to pages. So right now, Mary, we have, when we scroll down, here's resources. This is a private resources for our client. And just like anything else, if you want to add a new resources page or a secondary resources page, add new page. And so I'll use my example, like in boot camp, we have very specific, we call them surprise bonuses, little resources that we share with our boot campers. So I'm going to give it a different name. I might call it surprise bonuses, or I could call it boot camp resources. Right, so I just give it a different name. And then the same kind of thing, title of resource. And I'm going to format it using one of the preset headings so it's consistent. And then I'm going to do 1 to 2 sentence description. I might even have the image or the logo. And then when I'm done, I use this horizontal line for visual distinction, right? And however many resources I have, I just kind of repeat that. At the bottom, I don't want to show any sidebar boxes, and I want to make this private. And I want there to be a menu when my clients log into my private website. I want them to see a menu that they click on. So I'm going to create a new menu item that's called, same as the page, Bootcamp Resources. Save that menu. And I want this page to be private. Now, I don't want all of my clients getting this. I only want the people that are part of my teleclass to get this. So when I scroll down, I can see, okay, here's my teleclass people. The business success teleclass, that's who's going to get this. And so I give them permission. So anybody that's been assigned to that group will be able to see this. And I click save. And now when people in that group log into my private client website, they'll see this menu in this page, but nobody else will see that. Okay? Mary, did that answer your question? Just give me a quick yes or no in the webinar box. She said, beautiful, thank you. Okay, awesome. Let's see. Another question, Keisha asked a question, how do I wrap pictures around text? Can you, oh, yeah, so if you want to insert that logo. So the first thing you do, let's say that we want to have the image to the left of the name of the resource. So I put my cursor wherever I want the image, and then I click on Insert Edit Image, and I'm going to pick my image. I'm just going to use, for the sake of this, I'm just going to use the book cover that I've already uploaded here. So I'm just going to use that as my image. And I'm just going to click OK really quickly, Keisha, so you can see it inserted, and then I'll show you how to align it with text. So I'm going to click OK. Now you can see by default, the text is aligned in the lower right corner. But I'm like, well, that looks weird. I want all of the text to be over here on the right-hand side. So the first thing I can do is I can even change, just click and drag and change the size of that image. But I want to change the placement of the image in relationship to the text. So I click once, you see the little grab boxes on the corners. So it's selected. And then I click again on the Insert Edit Image icon. And there's an Advanced tab right here. So when I click on the Advanced tab, under Align, you can see where do I want the image to be aligned in relation to text. Okay, so let's say I want it to be on the right, and I click OK. Now the image is on the right-hand side of the page in relationship to the text. While it's selected, I can click the Insert Edit Image, click that Advanced tab. Maybe I want it to be, in the middle, right? And so you have the different options for how to place that text, okay? And you can use that Advanced tab to show. Hang on a second, I don't have the image selected. Use that Advanced tab to get the alignment that you want, right? The other thing that you can do you see how the word title is smushed like flat up against the image? Like that's kind of hard to read, so we want a little more space around that. So the other thing that you'll see in the Advanced tab is the vertical space and the horizontal space. So I'll just kind of put in a factor here of 5, and you'll see there's a spacing that's all the way around. Now I'm going to exaggerate it for effect here. Let me go back to the Advanced tab. And you can see how it creates a spacing both on the vertical and on the horizontal. So you can do both or you can do neither, right? So it's that Advanced tab that you want to play with, okay? Terry asked the question, can I have a resources page on my public website with things like links to the Coaches Console website and also private resources page for client? You sure can, Terry. You can do a public resources page and you can do a private resources page. Again, I'll go back to what I said at the beginning. If you have a public resources page, what I want you to be very, very mindful of is that the resources that you share on your public page are not a distraction away from the purpose of your website. The purpose of your website is keep people moving through your sales funnel by first downloading and opting in for your free gift, booking sample sessions, researching more about who you are to see if you can, they like who you are and build that know, like, and trust factor, understanding all the different services and options you make available. So, your website walks people through your sales funnel. As long as your resources do not distract from that, then you can have a public resources page. What we teach is to not have that public page, but instead do a private page for your clients. And then for the cool resources that you have, a few weeks ago, Terry, forgive me for not, I don't recall if you were on that training with us or not, but we talked about the 5 most effective elements in a newsletter. And one of those elements to include in your monthly or bi-monthly newsletter is a cool resources section. I would reserve your cool resources to your general list to be rotated through that cool resources section in your newsletter and not on your website. But technically, yes, you can do that. Okay. Let's see. Jane asked a question. Are the bootcamp resources still available for those of us in bootcamp, and where would we find them? What we've done, Jane, is we have put the resource at the bottom of each, in addition to a resources page, you'll find each surprise bonus or resource at the bottom of each module. So at the bottom of session 2, for example, or the bottom of session 3, you'll find it there. Okay. Mary says, can we upload images for future use? Of course. So let's say that we have another image that we want to upload. So when you click on the Insert Edit Image icon, the first screen that you're going to see is this pick image. When you click on this, what this little pop-up box is right here that we're looking at, this is my set of images specific to this Coaches Console account, right? Because keep in mind, the Coaches Console is web-based. It's not computer-based, right? So the first thing I have to do is I have to get the images, the JPEG files or the GIF files off of my computer and into my file library, my image library here. So if you don't, when you first come here, this is going to be empty. You're not going to have any images. And then you'll see this section right here down at the very bottom, upload a new image from your computer. And when you click choose file, Mary, it's going to open up all the files on your computer, and you can begin to choose the JPEGs or the GIF files that are on your computer, upload them here, and use them in the future. So you can absolutely do that. Okay. Okay. Keisha asked another question. I'm going to save your question, Keisha, for the live Q&A session, because that kind of wraps us up on the resources page and the topic of today. And I want to move into Svia's hot seat for right now. So I'm just going to keep the screen just on the Coaches Console dashboard, because there might be some stuff during the hot seat that we might reference and use this with. But right now I'm going to unmute. Hang on. Svia, are you there? We should be able to hear you now. You there?
Hi, yes.
Yes, excellent, excellent, excellent. So you had two very good topics. We are only going to be able to do one of those on today's call, but I'd love to see you get in the lineup again for another hot seat for your other topic, because I think they're both going to be great. And just to give everybody an idea, the two topics are about, well, let's see if I can summarize it. Taking everything that you've created, like Svia, it sounds like you've got files and files and files on your computers of trainings and worksheets and transcripts and audio stuff and PowerPoint slides that you've created over the years. And it's like, well, it's just sitting there. How do I utilize that to generate profit for me? Is that kind of a fair summary of that one?
Yes, completely, and also connected to what fits best with which business model.
Right, business model 1, business model 2, business model 3. Like, how do you know what stuff goes where? Okay, so that was the first topic. And then the second topic, where I love, she said, I feel like I'm playing the board game Snakes and Ladders when it comes to marketing and how you feel stuck in the marketing aspect, or maybe even just before the marketing aspect of attracting prospects and hot leads and converting them. And looking at, how to move forward with marketing and not be stuck with marketing. Is that right?
Absolutely.
So is there one that stands out for you that you want to jump, knowing that you're going to get both of them done? Because I totally know you're going to go through the hot seat again at some point. Which one do you want to go for first?
I think that I've already got some really good ideas from what you've said about the way to move forward on the resources. So I think I'd like to focus on that, use my hot seat now, consolidate that, and come back to the marketing another time.
Okay, great. So just to recap, like, you've got all these resources and everything from transcripts, worksheets, I think you said PowerPoint slides, audio files, exercises, and how do you work with that? What do you do in business model 1, 2, 3? And so specifically, you said you've created a little bit of clarity around this. What is your, at the end of the hot seat, what do you most want to know?
I think possibly what I'd most like to go away with is how to keep myself disciplined with building business model 1 and not get distracted into jumping into business model 2, effort and energy, and dissipating and not having any results to show for that.
Okay. And just to get everybody up to speed, because Svia was in our boot camp, and one of the things that we teach in boot camp is the distinctions between business model 1, business model 2, and business model 3. So business model 1 is when you are generating, consistently generating anywhere from $0 to $50,000 in annual revenue each year. And when you're in business model 1, what your sales funnel typically looks like is you offer a free gift, which leads to people booking a sample session. And in that sample session is an enrollment conversation that has people booking for typically your one-on-one services, right? So that's business model 1. And again, the indicator that you're in business model 1 is that you are generating 0 to 50,000 annually each year in top line revenue. Now, business model number 2 is 50,000 to 150,000 consistently in annual revenue. And typically the addition in your sales funnel is that you add in group programs or teleclasses, something like that, in addition to your one-on-one service. Okay. And so, Sophia, your question is, how do I keep disciplined in business model 1 to get those results and not get distracted into business model number 2?
Yep. Yes, and should I say something about what I've already figured?
Yep, absolutely.
Just by listening to this call. And okay, so here's what began to be clearer to me is I thought perhaps what would be a good way to do an audit, which I could do quite quickly in a couple of hours rather than weeks and days, is to look at all of what I've got and to decide the following: what would be added value for clients? What would be a lead magnet or something to attract people into the sales funnel? So that could become like a free gift. What have I got that should actually be a product or a service? In other words, something I should sell, not be giving away. And what should go into newsletters?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Excellent. Yeah, that's an excellent, as you called it, an audit. And so here's the thing about business model number 1. You want to make sure that before you do this audit, well, let me share it. This is how I do it. In fact, interestingly enough, which is why I loved that this was your hot seat, I was just on a trip for the past 4 days, and the plane ride out to Colorado and the plane ride back to Colorado, I was working on exactly this for our business. And the thing that you want to make sure is really clear is that for business model number 1, your pain island points and your pleasure island points. And you want to have those clearly articulated, which I believe you do. Just knowing you and boot camp and the interactions that we have, I believe that's really clear for you. Right? When that's not clear, just for everybody else listening in, when you don't know the pain island, and when I say pain island points, I'm talking about the challenges, like the top 3 challenges that keep your prospects and ideal clients up at night, that stresses them out and creates overwhelm. So you want to know the pain island points, the challenges, and you also want to know the pleasure island results. What are the top results that your ideal clients are deeply yearning for? If they could just have that magic wand and make their life better, this is what they want. Like, you got to know that, or else you don't know where anything fits into the puzzle. So, and that's step 1. And Sophia, you've got that down. I feel like you have that down. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think you've got that down.
I think that's accurate. I just need to stick with it and not go. It's not quite chasing shiny bright objects, but I do chase shiny bright ideas.
Yes, don't we all? Don't we all? And so really that speaks to that actually speaks to commitment. So let me talk about that for a second, and then we'll get back to your audit, because I've got some additional points for clarity on that piece for you. So in that moment when you chase that bright, shiny idea, what you're more committed to is your own personal creativity in that moment. Not good, bad, right or wrong. That's where your commitment lies. You're like, I'm going to fulfill my need for creativity, and I'm going to go after that little shiny idea right there. And when we're in business model 1, the discipline piece is being committed to serving our clients, getting results. Okay?
Yeah.
And so we want to be mindful of what are we most committed to right now. Now, the beautiful thing is there's actually a blend. It's not that we want to sacrifice our own needs and our own what's important to keep our creativity alive and flourishing. We just have to be very conscious of the blending. And a lot of people, they're not aware of that. Therefore, they forget to be of service to their clients. I know that kind of sounds funny, but it's a blending of both. So you want to create a container for your creativity to flourish. And it can be something as simple as the way I used to do it, and I kind of do it a little bit still today. The way I used to do it, I would say every Friday afternoon is my creativity time. Like in my model work week, I would chunk out that time. I would not meet with clients. I would not work on projects. It was my time to sketch my new ideas, my time to map out, brainstorm, think, whatever I wanted to go play my flute if that's what I want, or paint, do my watercolor, like whatever I was doing that was creative, that was my time to do it. So I gave myself a space so I could honor that. And then the other time throughout the week was focused on serving my clients and doing everything within my means to make sure they're getting the results. Okay.
Sounds very helpful as a bridge, because I think that sounds like a bridge to me, and I'm very aware that what my every Friday afternoon could look like, not literally, but would be the place perhaps would be in the newsletters, is to allow myself to both serve but also test out and experiment with creative things in the newsletter, because that's a low business result collapse if it doesn't bring any return on effort.
Yeah. And I love the way you're thinking about that, because it's also research. So it's a creative outlet for you. Let me fulfill this creative need I have with this following the shiny idea. Let me get it out there. And you're researching with your people. Hey, do you guys like this? Do you not? Is this something you pay attention to, or does it fall flat on its face? And you can gauge the interest while you're honoring your commitment. It's a brilliant way to do that.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go back to the audit for a second. So you talked about 4 things, going through all those files and PowerPoints and all that collection of stuff that you have. And again, using the pain island and pleasure island of business model 1 that you're in right now, you can do a quick pass. Does this provide added value? And I would just do a quick pass. I would not give it too much thought. Does it give it value? Could it be a free gift? Could there be a product and service? Or can I use this in the newsletter? And the first pass, you're going to actually see, this is my hunch. When I've done this is what happens. You'll see, I don't know, a certain chunk of that material will be relative to business model number 1, to the people that you're working with right now. And then there's going to be this chunk that has nothing to do with them. And you're like, well, I don't know what to do with that, but right now I'm just going to set that off to the side and I'll come back to that later. And so the first pass, just get that clear distinction of here's the stuff I have no business messing with right now until I get results in business model number 1. But here's this like 2/3 of the stuff that I'm going to work with. And then give it a second pass, a second audit, and then ask, is this added value? Could this be a free gift? Could this turn into a product or service that I offer? Or is this something just fun to include in the newsletter? Right? And you can begin to ask these questions. So then you have to know, well, if I'm looking at a PowerPoint, how do I know if it's added value? How do I know if it could be a lead magnet? How do I know if it's a product? Right? So you have to have like a criteria for each of those. Right? And so typically with a lead magnet, with a free gift, your criteria is the what and the why. If you have, and I'll just use a PowerPoint as an example. If you have a PowerPoint or an audio, if you have something like that, and really it's talking about the concept, the what something is and why it's important to know it or not know it, that's usually in the realm of added value, free gift type of material.
Okay, Melinda, would you say I could use that as, in other words, it raises awareness?
Yes, yep, it raises awareness.
For clients, okay.
It raises the awareness, and that's a great way to put that. Now, to contrast that, if it's a product and service kind of material, it's all about the how. How do you do something? The application of it, the implementation. So if you have
and that would be...
Go ahead.
Sorry, and so that would be, it actually helps people to start creating change for themselves, not just become aware of change is possible, or what change might look like, or what the benefits might be, but this would be
They're rolling up their sleeves and they're
something.
doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
cool.
exactly right. Now let me make a little distinction, because a powerful free
Mm-hmm.
gift not only raises awareness, gives the what and the why,
Mm-hmm.
it might also, a powerful free gift might also give the first step.
Okay,
Okay.
sure.
So not all the time does it do that, but sometimes a powerful free gift might say, here's the 5 steps to ABC, and we're going to go deep into
Mm-hmm.
step 1. That's a powerful
Okay.
free gift. Now, if somebody on your list is like, "Oh my gosh, this is great," and they do the work of step 1 in your free gift, so they're actually doing a little bit of rolling up their sleeves and doing it, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I have to
Mm-hmm.
have more." Well, great. Then they buy your products and services to get steps 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Okay.
that's kind of the distinction. So when you're going through your all of your stuff, all your files,
Mm.
again, do a quick audit. Don't give it a whole lot of thought. Just do a quick audit and say, this is really about awareness, the what and why. Put that into one pile. And these things
Mm-hmm.
over here, this is about rolling up your sleeves, applying it, implementing it, doing it, so on. And stick it in that second pile.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds like I need to develop a little code by which or a sticker, no, but probably a code to just label a whole lot of files or stick them into a folder
I
as I
would
go along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen to me. I was going to say I would recommend a folder. Secretly, what I
Yeah.
do, because this is just how I roll, it's how I started my business. Kate and I just did it last week. Um, I I print things out, and I
Yeah.
literally sit in my floor and I literally put them in files. In fact, let me show you. Um, I'll just show you. I'm going to turn on my webcam for a second, because I want to show you what I created, because this is how I think and how I work. Um, so can you see me on my webcam? I hope my webcam's
Yep.
working. Yep.
Yes.
So do you
Yes,
see
you're
this piece
above
of
the console.
paper right here? Can you see that?
I do.
So
I do.
literally, Kate and she came over to my house and she sat in my living room floor. And this is our product path for what we're creating this year. And,
Okay.
so I'm telling you to sit down and put stuff into folders on your computer. If that works for you, great. I have to sit in
Hmm.
my living room floor, and I have to have my, I have to have my journal of stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I've got to have the physical thing in my hand. That's the creative part in me that I have to honor. So that's how I do it. But yeah,
Okay.
create the piles. Once you create the piles and you've got your added value and your lead magnet stuff, then go through it, and begin to see, what can I make into a free gift, and who's this free gift
Okay.
for, and what should just be in a newsletter, or what should be
Mm-hmm.
added value as autoresponders for like client onboarding, or
Ah.
right when somebody becomes a client, it's nice to give them value and sprinkle value. So some of those resources
Mm-hmm.
might be for onboarding a new client. Some of those resources might be on the resources page, like we talked about, when they log into your private client website. They might be listed
Mm-hmm.
there. Some of the resources, the just kind of the added value ones, when somebody opts into your free gift, right? You might sprinkle in a couple of
Mm.
those free resources as surprise bonuses, just to continue to
Okay.
nurture your list and give value.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. I'm going to
Yep.
turn off my webcam. Hold on. Yeah, so I think that will
Okay.
give you a start. And again, when it
Yeah.
comes to focusing on business model 1 and not getting distracted to business model number 2, I think this is going to keep you busy for a while, because it sounds like you've got a lot of stuff, and now you have a strategy for going through it.
Yeah. Um, okay. And it perhaps sounds odd, but I think that I have much more confidence about how to operate successfully in business model 2. But right at the moment, for a variety of reasons, I really need to do the commitment to the business model 1. And that probably is something that I've never done with a lot of consciousness. I've just done it. It just kind of came naturally maybe 10 years ago. So that's quite interesting. So now what I need to do is bring much more strategy and tactic to doing it, particularly because I tend to get distracted. And I think the clue that I'm taking with me is that I think that what I really need, the discipline for me will probably be, is to write up a big, bold, where I can see it really clearly, is the pain island points of the business model one individual clients that I wish to serve, and the pleasure island results, and to keep asking myself, this particular thing, does it speak to that? Yes, no.
Exactly. Yep.
So, yeah, it's all valuable, but that's not the point. The point is I need to do it. I feel like I'm doing a bit like a little black dress going shopping. And if it's a little black dress to wear to a funeral, then that's the kind of little black dress I need to look for, not the little black dress to wear to a hot date.
Well, I don't know about that. I'd pick the one for the hot date no matter what, but that's just me. But I get what you're saying.
In other words, I need something where I'm not overwhelmed by getting creative about who could this resource serve, but rather the other way around.
Exactly. How can this resource serve these people?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Okay, so that's much clearer. And what I like is that this feels to me like also I can tackle this with my focus on, I'm looking to be able to swiftly increase the value that I can create for the current clients and the hot leads. I'm not looking to do a major production on all of the things that I've ever produced. And that's what I kind of get drawn into.
No. You'll take this one piece at a time, and then you'll find maybe in 30 days or 90 days or at some point in the future, you'll look back and you'll be like, well, crap, holy cow, I've done a major production on all the stuff that I've created.
Yeah, exactly.
It's having that focus.
Okay.
Now,
I think that's very clear.
I'm going to also invite you to do one more thing, because you said, your focus is how can I increase value? Add one more phrase to that. How can I increase value and make a profit?
Absolutely. Ha. I'm so glad you reminded me.
That's a big old fat and in all capital letters, bold and highlighted, and make a profit. Those things can coexist. They're designed to coexist.
Sure.
Yeah. So keep that in your mantra as you're moving forward.
Yeah. Okay. And that will also help as a selection, because in a way, and make a profit would be, I'm thinking aloud, I haven't decided it, but it seems would be, would this help a hot lead to convert to an active client?
Yep.
Or for example, would this be a client who's about to finish a coaching package, would decide that they want a different but second or third or fourth coaching package?
Yep.
So I think
exactly.
Yeah. So if I think about it like that, that will be a whole lot easier than the obvious definition of will it make a profit, as in make me a load of money, because that's what pulls me into business model 2. You see.
Ah, right. I got you. So that's a good distinction. Good distinction. And the other, so those are buckets. So the very first bucket is, will this help a stranger get curious about what I offer and be interested in more? That's one bucket as well. Will this help a prospect become a paying client? Will this help an existing client continue on with another coaching package?
Yeah.
And so that'll help you with each stage.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Exactly. Instead of thinking, oh, this is just the kind of thing that people need who want to do groups or who want to go into 12-month training courses, which is much more my familiar territory, or has been in the last, say, 4 years. Okay, good. I'm getting a mental rinse. Thank you.
Great. And great question. And Christy, by the way, said, I hope she wants to go with the first option. So she did, Christy. And I think it will be beneficial to a lot of people on this call. And Mary just chimed in, and Mary said, it's nice to know that I'm not the only one in business model number 1. Okay, let's just, if we were in an actual classroom right now where we're all sitting there together, I would have everybody raise their hand. Who's in business model number 1? So right now we can't do that. So if you're in business model number 1, just type in type that into the webinar box. I'm in business one or me or something like that. I really want Mary to know how she is not alone. So we have we've got several folks that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and they're still typing. So the point is, Mary, you are so not alone. Most everybody here is in business model 1. We have several that are now moving into business model number 2. And when you do like what we've talked about in this hot seat today, and you take those focused steps, you will begin to move yourself in that direction faster than if you take the big, broad, overwhelming approach. So thank you for bringing this topic, Svea, to the hot seat. And keep us posted on the Facebook group. You've got the Coaches Console Facebook group, and you also have the Boot Camp Facebook group, being a boot camper, and you can keep us posted and let us know how it's going and how we can continue to support you in that focus.
Okay,
awesome.
Thank you very much. And I wanted to also just add one thing is, having been in both business model 2 and on the doorstep of 3, I think that we should just all be encouraged that wherever we are is where we are, and we do what we need. And because I think it's an ebb and flow thing also that is connected to markets and relocations and time of your life, and I don't know, 103 different things. So I'm glad if people don't need to feel bad or ashamed about being in business model 1 for whatever reason.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's where you are. You do the best you have with what you are from where you are in that moment. And as you continue, like Svea's outlined today, like here's the focus and here's the strategy. And as you take each step every day, you move closer to your goals. And that's how it works, one step at a time. Just like each one of you tell all of your clients, it's the same thing. Yep. So thanks for that reminder.
Thank you.
That's powerful. All right, well, I'm going to mute you, and we're going to open it up to some live Q&A. And if you do have any questions, whether it's about the featured resource of the day, we were talking about the resources page, or whether it was about Svea's hot seat and that topic, whatever your question is, type that into the webinar box. And let's see, we've got a couple of questions. Hang on, let me just pull them out here. There was one back up here. Wait a minute. I thought I saw some. Bear with me. Oh, there we go. Keisha had Keisha's question is right here. Keisha, you asked, can you discuss the difference between regular boot camp and the one that we're offering right now? Absolutely. So once or twice a year, we do our live Easy Breezy Coaching Business Boot Camp program. Svea was just in that this last fall. It's a 10-module training. It runs about 90 days-ish. But it's a live training with Kate and myself, walking you through the 10 modules. So every Wednesday, there's a live webinar, a lot like this one today, where I am actually teaching you the strategies. You have access to the private bootcamp portal where you receive the content, scripts, and templates. You heard me talk earlier. We have surprise bonuses that we include there. You have direct access to Kate and myself in the client log. So a lot of what Svea just did, a lot of that happens within Bootcamp because you have the client log. And to the degree that you work in the client log, Kate and I work with you and we support you, whether it's reviewing content, helping you get unstuck from a business challenge, knowing where to focus, how to use your console system. So you have Kate and I as your coaches that you can ask questions, and we support you. And we usually do that live once or twice a year. The next time we're doing it is not until this fall. Our next live boot camp kicks off in September of this year. But we had a lot of people saying, well, I don't want to wait until September. And so what we have created is an online version of our boot camp. It's the same 10 modules. It's the same trainings. They're the videos of me, the recorded webinars of me. It's me doing them live, and we recorded them, and so you have me through video in the private bootcamp portal, walking you through the 10 modules. The biggest difference is that you in the online bootcamp, you do not have access to Kate or myself. You have access to the private Facebook group, the bootcamp Facebook group. So you have access to the support team that's in there and all the other boot campers and the alumni that's in there. But you don't have access to Kate and myself directly. That is in the live. So that's really the biggest distinction, Keisha. So we have some folks that are like, look, I want this training. I want to know boot camp. I want to dive in. I want to use this boot camp to really learn how to use version 3.0. We have several folks that are saying that. And they want to make sure that they're leveraging all of their console system, because in the 10 modules, we take you through the entire setup of your full console system. And so people want to do that right away. They don't want to wait till this fall. So that's the biggest difference. I think that answers your question. If you do have any other questions, I'm happy to let you know. But the two biggest reasons to move through version 3, and they don't want to wait until this fall. They want to get that training and take themselves through that training right now. And that's what the online boot camp is. Okay. Okay, a couple more questions. I'm going to see if I can sneak them in before we wrap up. Let's see here. Let me find it. Shazna, I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right. If I'm not, please let me know. Has this question: how much bandwidth do we have on Coach's Console to store pics and videos? So, for example, we were talking about that resources page, and when you're working on whatever the page is, and you are clicking on that insert edit image, that you can have as many images here as you want. You're not limited. Now, there is a within the support center, I forget the exact dimensions right off the top of my head, but you can find it in the support center. There is a file size. So there's the size requirement is the size of the image itself. But you can have, if you've got 100 images that you want to include here, you can upload those. You can certainly do that. Okay. Let's see a couple more questions. Anne asks, is there a mobile app? I'm going to answer you technically, Anne. Technically, there's not an app. We didn't create a separate independent app. What there is a responsive mobile version. So when you're on your tablet, for example, or a smartphone, your Coach's Console system knows that, and it automatically displays the mobile version of it. There's nothing you have to do. You just open Safari on your tablet or whatever browser you use. I use Safari. I'm on iPads and my iPhone 6. So you just open your browser on your mobile device and go to coachesconsole.com and log in, and your console system detects that you're on a mobile device, and it displays the system accordingly. Okay. Mickey has another question, kind of following up on Svea's topic. Do you ever resist moving into the next business level for fear of getting overwhelmed with busyness? Overwhelmed with busyness or business? Either way, I'll answer it both ways just in case. So Mickey, if you're seeing that you're resisting, you're doing well, let's say you're doing well in business model number 1, and you're like, no way, I'm not going to business model number 2 out of fear, then the question to ask yourself before you move forward, this is what I do, because you guys know me, I am all about being prepared in advance. Like, that is my key phrase, being prepared in advance. So before you move to the next business model, Mickey, ask yourself, what needs to be in place so I can thrive at that next business model? And when you answer that question, and it might be everything from a virtual assistant or more team members or better resources or whatever it might be, the answers will come to you and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid that I won't be able to serve all my clients. Okay, well, what needs to be in place so I can serve my clients? Like Kate and I are asking, we're getting ready to move into the next business model, right? We're at I don't even know what business model we're at right now, like business model 5, right? But we're like, holy shnikes, before we move there, like what has to be in place? And now what we're saying is, well, we've got to bring in more virtual assistants and a team of coaches, right? So we got to have that happen before we can evolve our business into the next model. So we're asking those kinds of questions. So the resistance is just an indicator that, wait a minute, you're not fully prepared in advance. Let's answer those questions first, and then let's move forward. Okay. Okay. So, Anne's talking about the mobile version again and has another quick follow-up question. Does the mobile work for the clients too? Absolutely. When your clients log into your private client website is also mobile responsive. Yep. All right. I think that is it. If for some reason your question got scooped up in all the comments in the webinar box, I apologize that I overlooked it. Head to the Bootcamp Facebook group, not the Bootcamp, but the Coaches Console Members Mind Facebook group, and post your questions there, and myself or Kate will pop in there, or people on our support team, or other members will certainly respond to you. So thank you, everybody, for an incredible Tuesdays at 2. Thank you, Sfia, for your questions, and I do hope you put yourself back in the lineup for that marketing, if it's still an issue for you. And if you haven't been in the hot seat, it is super easy. Every week, Angie puts out a request, who wants to be in the hot seat. You don't have to have a polished topic. It can just be, I'm stuck on X. We'll put you in the hot seat. It's safe. It's sacred. It's loving. It's non-judgmental. It's super supportive, and will help you get unstuck, or will help you move towards your goals. And it's the power of coaching and brainstorming, and we'll just put all of our love and attention on you to keep you moving forward. So I really encourage you to get on the hot seat. It's the most vulnerable position you'll be in, which freaks me out whenever I do hot seats in my mastermind groups. Always freaks me out. I always get like super nervous, hands shake, butterflies in the stomach. And it is the most, has the most positive impact on my business every time I do it. So get yourself in that hot seat. Make up something to get in the hot seat, because it is that good. All right. Well, we will see you on next week's Tuesdays at 2 training. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.